Let's assume that a lot of people don't know about you or your son, Ross, and let's give them a sense for what happened to him and why he's in prison today.
Sure. Yeah, my son Ross is serving double life plus 40 years without the possibility of parole in a maximum security prison for all nonviolent charges, first-time offender, no history of violence whatsoever. And it's essentially for his role in the Silk Road website / marketplace, something he created on a computer when he was 26 years old. And I feel that it is an excessive, cruel sentence that is totally unnecessary. Ross is completely peaceful. He's not a danger to anyone. And I'm working very hard to have him free and to have this sentence, which sets a terrible precedent, by the way, commuted.
And how long has he been in prison?
He'll be starting his 7th year in a couple of weeks.
Okay. So let's take a step back, and I know this whole story, and it gets pretty complicated.
Yeah, it's complicated.
But let's talk about Silk Road first, because
Sure.
this was this the first sort of encrypted deep web marketplace, or where there was
Good question.
what's the story? I don't.
Actually, I think there were some before.
Yeah.
I actually don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Certainly, Ross had never done anything like that. He was. The thing is, Ross got very passionate about liberty and free markets, and then the potential for monetary freedom through Bitcoin, which was very new. Hardly anyone had heard of it. And he was at Penn State. He was part of the Ron Paul campaign. He brought Ron Paul to Penn State. He campaigned for him and became very kind of on fire for freedom.
Yeah.
And he created a video game to give people the experience of a real free market. And he tried to get it published. He talked to people, but it didn't happen. And he turned to the internet and he created Silk Road. Now, Silk Road was based on the non-aggression principle of voluntary interaction, so it wasn't a totally free market because certain things were prohibited. Anything that basically hurt a third party created a victim. So, for instance, there was no child pornography or anything related to pedophilia allowed, no stolen property, no weapons, no assassinations, things that could be used to hurt a third party. Drugs were allowed because the administration of the site felt it was a free choice between two individuals. Carnegie Mellon did a study. The overwhelming type of drugs that were exchanged were user amounts of cannabis. But there were other drugs on there. And I'm not defending that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that's what, yeah.
But that would be.
It wasn't the intention to be
Yeah.
a drug site. The intention was to be a free market that was private, uninterfered with by the government, that used Bitcoin as a means of exchange.
So kind of like an encrypted anonymous version of Amazon.
Yeah, or eBay or something like that.
So
yeah.
you wouldn't get dogged on Facebook for every time you searched for
Right.
something on Amazon.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
sounds
good
pretty
point.
attractive
Yeah.
to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was. I think he was wasn't he a member of Students for Liberty?
Yeah, he was actually he was one of the first members, and his signature is on their first T-shirt that's hanging on the wall of their office in D.C.
Yeah.
So they
So
sent
he's very
that to me.
motivated by
Oh, yeah.
ideas and this sort of like, I mean, it's almost this. It almost sounds like Galt's Gulch to me, where everyone's going to trade value for value and
Yeah, he was an idealist.
Yeah.
And he got into Austrian economics and von Mises and all that philosophy. And, that's what he became very consumed with, and chose not to go on to his PhD in physics. He had a free ride to Cornell and said, well, that's just not my passion. Of course, as a mother, I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, no. But,
By the way,
I didn't know what he was doing.
Those same idea guys screwed up my life as well. So, so I'm not nearly as productive as I otherwise could have been.